If you walk into the deserts of Uzbekistan today, you'll find massive, rusted cargo ships sitting stranded in a dusty wasteland. This ground isn't a natural desert. It's the former floor of the Aral Sea. 60 years ago, this location, an oasis the size of Ireland, was the fourth largest lake on the planet. A deliberate, calculated government engineering decision wiped this sea off the map. That decision triggered a chain reaction that ruined the local climate, poisoned the population, and exposed a biological security threat. When human hubris attempts to rewrite the rules of geography, it leaves behind deep physical scars that cannot be easily erased. The Soviet Union aimed to dominate the global cotton market through their White Gold project, planting massive fields in the middle of this arid region. In the 1960s, the sea was a thriving ecosystem, fed by the constant flow of two glacial rivers, the Amu Darya and the Sir Darya. To water those fields, engineers diverted the two main rivers away from the sea and directly into the desert. But the execution was catastrophic. Because the Karakum Canal was a simple trench dug into the sand, up to 75% of the water leaked away or evaporated before it ever reached a single plant. This staggering wastefulness destroyed the ecosystem's lifeline, while the agricultural project was still in its infancy. Once the rivers were diverted, the sea's water level began to drop. By the 1980s, it was falling by a staggering 35 inches every year. Satellite data from 1990 to 2020 tracks the result, as the blue lake was reduced to disconnected puddles. In the final panel, you can see the deep eastern basin transform entirely into a dry white wasteland. Local fishermen woke up to find the shoreline miles away. The collapse of the industry took 60,000 jobs with it. This economic ruin was the first and mildest symptom of the collapse. The retreating water left behind a seabed that had absorbed decades of toxic agricultural pesticide runoff. This became the Aralkum Desert. The thick white crust covering the ground is baked toxic salt. Extreme weather patterns began whipping this salt into massive dust storms that blanketed surrounding towns in chemical haze. Locals began breathing in agricultural poison daily, leading to skyrocketing rates of throat cancer, tuberculosis, and infant mortality. Draining the sea had weaponized the very ground beneath the citizens' feet. Deep in the center of the shrinking sea lay a classified secret, Vozrozhdeniya Island. The Soviet military utilized this remote island as their premier open-air biological weapons testing facility. Deadly pathogens like weaponized anthrax and smallpox were tested here, isolated only by the surrounding water. As the Aral Sea evaporated, the protective moat vanished. The island physically expanded until it connected to the mainland. By the early 2000s, scavenging animals and smugglers could walk directly into an unsecured, crumbling dump of weaponized pathogens. Ignoring ecological balance had accidentally unsealed a Pandora's box of weapons of mass destruction. Did the Soviet engineers know their canals would kill the sea? Declassified documents show they did. However, rigid ideology viewed the lake as a useless error of nature to be conquered. Today, the Aral Dam represents a desperate attempt. Because the local economy remains reliant on cotton, the rivers remain diverted, and the southern water is gone forever. One of the planet's largest lakes has been replaced by a toxic wasteland. The Aral Sea stands as a monument to the limits of human ambition and the cost of treating nature as a machine to be exploited. We have the power to alter geography, but we ultimately cannot escape the unforgiving balance of the Earth.